Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia and this is the frontline history for the past week. So this is may not necessarily be a full 7 days because of the nowadays I do sit rep not daily. So as a result the mapping is a bit mergy. So it might be 8 days or whatnot, but you have a good sense of what happened over the 1 week period. So for you officers, sergeants or generals that has not been free to watch the reporting on a daily basis. Now, this will give you a very good sense of what's happening over the past week. And of course, this is also an exclusive video only for paying members. I may also publish this as a promo, to get more people to come on to the paying members to support the work, because YouTube cannot be trusted to take care of all my revenue needs. So it is what it is. So anyway, the a bit different from the monthly one. I will cover this in a more like a summary kind of situation over the past week, what's happened. And so we're going to jump straight to we're going to do as usual in the clockwise direction, and we're going to go into the Sumy region. So this is Sumy. Let me draw my let me bring out my arrows. So this is Sumy, and there's only one frontline change. Basically, is the Ukrainian forces that launch a counterattack over in Kindrativka region. So so in this sector here, the Ukrainian forces counterattack after they have secured Kindrativka and Andreevka. They continue to attack northward, and since then we do not have any more news regarding the situation here. So this is the main change over in the Sumy front over the past week. Looks like the Ukrainians may have reached a stalemate, because these are all open grounds. As you can see, there's not really much things here, and then when you look at the rest of the places that the Ukrainians may need to attack, these are all places where the Russians could potentially defend very strongly. They can have very strong lines here, and these are open grounds. Entering these areas here may be a death trap. That is the main thing regarding this area here. So that's the Sumy front. So by the way, also you guys can also comment, be it which platform you're on, be it Coffee, Patreon or YouTube membership, in the comments. Just let me know, feedback on the how we can go about doing this frontline history for the weekly basis. So because this will be the every week we're going to be doing this. So over in the Kharkiv front, so at the Kharkiv front region, there's only one frontline change. Basically, it's over in Taike. So for some orientation, this is Volchansk, and east of Volchansk is the Taike region. We have the Ukrainian mapping, if I didn't remember wrongly, updating that the Russian forces have attacked and taken the forest in this region here. So I did mention quite a number of times, this may not necessarily be like a active warfare. It might be just a clarification of the front line. But it does open up some possibility of the Russians continuing on into the eastern part of Volchansky Kotori. But I don't think they'll go for that. I don't think they'll go for that, because they haven't even really secured Taike. The Russians, they basically use this like a death trap, like the kill zone, and they just kept the place like a stalemate around this line. So that's the change in this sector. And you can see the Sumy and the Kharkiv region isn't exactly the main focus of the past week in the battles between the two sides. Similarly, there is no frontline change over in the Dvorichna region. So if you have watched the frontline history for the whole month of July, there is actually frontline changes in the Dvorichna region, but in the past week, it's not really the focus of the Russian forces. In the Kupyansk, neither is this a focus. However, we do have some frontline change of Stepova Novoselivka, where the Russian forces have taken the junction between the railway line and the highway in the southwest of Stepova Novoselivka. And then in the Oscu region, so this Oscu, so because I cut it in this way, this is the Oscu, this is the Leman region, but this seems to be more or less the same place. This is Oscu, by the way. This is Oscu, and the Oscu River is around here. In this sector here, we have quite a bit of frontline change. So Leman is one of the places where the Russians seems to be doing a bit more. Russian forces have punched towards Koshtenkove. This is a Russian claim, by the way. And then they are also attacking towards Serene in the past week, and they have secured Zelina Dolena and actually trying to flank towards the south of Chandri Holove, leading up to this frontline formation. So the push is to the south of Chandri Holove, another push is directly towards Chandri Holove, and another push is towards Serene itself. So that is the main gist of the situation in this sector here. And so I think this weekly frontline history is pretty useful to try to get a sense. Like you can just watch this and don't have to watch a daily report, and just have a sense and keep up with the changes in the Ukraine war. I think that also is pretty helpful. Anyway, this is what it is. That's the changes in this sector. And if I did put this on public for the rest of the YouTube, YouTube and Rumble, crowd, do consider Patreon, because this will not be on public anymore. It's just exclusively for the paying members. Colosi is one of the major news where the Russian forces actually enter into Colosi. However, since the update regarding this geolocation, there is no more news regarding Colosi. So it's a bit interesting that there's no more news. So we shall wait and see how long does this take to play out. And then we go into the Leman front. So in the Leman front, we have a very bizarre situation in Torx. So according to our our mapping, so Russian forces was geolocated in the south, and I've mapped that the Russian forces, based on the previous geolocation, have actually attacked south of Torx. So and then, however, the Ukrainian mapping interestingly decided to draw the firm front line coming from the east. So this means that we have a very weird mapping that saws Ukrainian land or controlled region entirely encircled around here. So this is a peculiarity that only appears on DPA mapping because of how we map things. And I only map based on sources. So this resulted in this weird mapping. High chances that the Russian forces have already taken this entire area as well. So and the thing is that the Ukrainians just like to gray zone a lot of things. So it's very weird mapping for now. I think before long, I think we will see the Ukrainians concede this territory, and then we can update the map. But this is a very, very significant frontline change. If you watch from a strategic point of view, you can see the Leman is around. So Leman is here. Russian forces basically have essentially taken Torx and secure more of the forest in this sector here. We already have the Russian forces already pushing through the Siversk forestry right now after capturing a huge chunk of it. And they might be now able to go for Yampil, cut off the crossing in this sector here. And then they can also go through the forest and ignore Dvorichna entirely, and then hit into the rear position and just force the Ukrainians into a withdrawal due to a flanking operation or potentially a pincer operation. So this is the current situation that we are looking at over in the Leman front. So far, I think this, it is pretty dynamic, and this of course coupled with the frontline changes further up in the north, it just shows that this region here seems to be a new focus for the Russian forces. So let's see how this goes. Siversk front is one of these hero front for the past week. We have significant frontline change in this sector here, as you can see. So Russian forces punched towards Siversk in multiple directions from Serebryanka, securing Khoryovka region. There is Ukrainian forces still in this sector here. This is actually confirmed based on geolocation. Russian forces is still trying to attack from the Verkhovno-Kanyamsky direction, but they are attacking towards Siversk as well. Verkhovno-Kanyamsky, south of Verkhovno-Kanyamsky, and and the west is all secured by the Russian forces now, and Dvorichna is also secured with the Russian forces taking a big fortification around this sector here. So the Russians are moving on, moving in this sector, and it looks like the Ukrainian lines may have cracked in Siversk. The difficult line is actually around here. So let me draw in yellow. And Volkomokanyamsky is difficult. There's all these hill lines here is difficult. But the Russians have penetrated past this difficult line. They have went past, and they are now basically on the final straight towards Siversk itself, bringing the battle into Siversk. So that is the current situation in this sector of the Siversk front. So yeah, pretty significant as well. Over the Bakhmut front, we have some updates, but the biggest one is actually the fall of Chassia. So Chassia arguably have fallen to the Russian forces. We haven't declared on DPS mapping, but essentially it is captured. Without a doubt, the Russian forces have secured Chassia. The central part has finally fallen to the Russians. The Shevchenko sector, the district, has been taken, including the Yuzhny district. And this means the battle is now moving into Mykolaiivka, Chervony, and of course the securing of the rest of the forest in the west of Chassia. The Russians may also continue to go down south to support the operation in Stupovsky and Pritechny. It's further south. So so that is the current gist of the situation in Chassia. And so the further south I can see is Stupovsky, Pritechny. So this force could potentially head south to support the operations here, and then eventually head to Pritechny. The main aim of the operations here is to create the wall, the eastern wall on Konstantinivka. So the main push is like this towards to Konstantinivka. I don't think their aim is to storm into Konstantinivka, at least not yet. Anyway, the distance is still quite a bit, so not super significant. Over in Klishchiivka, this sector here, the Ukrainian mapping have updated that the Russian forces have basically secured the front line all along the canal. So basically that's it around here. It is a good update. Finally that we can clean up the front line around here, because it makes zero sense for the Ukrainian mapping to penetrate into this side, the eastern side of the canal, for basically not much gains for that. That reminds me of Klishchiivka. This was a very hard battled settlement. Russians captured it, Ukrainians recaptured it, Russians captured it again. This was a very horrendous place. A lot of people died here. So there's some memories. This was long time ago. I think 1-2 years ago already. It's quite crazy. Torx. So this is Torx. In the Torx, there is some updates regarding Shcherbinivka. So Russian forces have confirmed by Ukrainian mapping to have secured the entire south, all the outskirts, the southern and eastern outskirts of Shcherbinivka. And this is pretty significant, because it does show that the Ukrainians are cracking in Torx. I did mention many times about the situation here regarding this is becoming a salient on its own. The main gist of the salient is that the Ukrainians have only this part to enter into this entire region, because this is a water body. They cannot enter there, and the Russians have closed off this area because of the capture of Alexander Kalinove. So the Ukrainians can only resupply in this way, and rotate and resupply in this way, and this is a very narrow gap. The Russians will concentrate a lot of FPV drones around here, and this just not a very profitable place to wage battle for the Ukrainians anymore. Zoria here, there is Russians advancing. This is just consolidation of the situation. I believe in the next week, or at least the next month, I think this entire front line will be gone. I think at least maybe the next month, because changes can be very slow. Sometimes Russians just like to let them come in, but if but the thing is that in a month's time, I think the Ukrainians may give up this entire area here. So we might see this entire salient disappear. So that's the thing. But Ukrainian mapping does not acknowledge this part here. I just want to say, in the Ukrainian mapping, the front line still looks like, is still around this sector here. Yeah, but then we have geolocations to map all this. So, which is why we'll stick to our method. Like I always say, this is not reality. This is just this is just an interpretation of the sources. So take it with a pinch of salt. Alexandro Kalinove is captured by the Russian forces after the final area here has been confirmed to be taken by the Russian side. So not super important. And we go into the Pokrovsk region. So now in the Pokrovsk front. So this Pokrovsk city, this is Minokhrad. And in the north of Minokhrad, there is this big frontline changes in this sector here. So I paused the video just now because I realized some of my mapping disappeared. So yeah, it was like, hey, where is my mapping, man? So give me a second. Turn this to territory. Turn this off. Yeah. So yeah, some of this entire chunk disappear. Yeah, sometimes this happens in my mapping. So sometimes my work is just wasted. I just saw another mistake. Give me a second. So in this northern flank of Pokrovsk, there is quite a bit of major changes. Like this Minokhrad, right? This entire sector here has collapsed over the past week. Particularly the Russian forces, moving in the direction of Volodymyrivka. Let me adjust the mapping. So the Russian forces secured the entire west of Popivya and Pokrovsk. They stormed very quickly towards Volodymyrivka. This is a very, very fast advance, which means the Ukrainian forces entirely given up this entire region. They have retreated into Volodymyrivka and are probably going to hold their stand around there. The Russian forces also took the opportunity to secure Novotoretsk in the south of Matyat and taken all this position. So this is a very, very big frontline change, very, very shocking change. So that is the advance with the Russian forces poising to attack into Volodymyrivka and Shakove in the coming week. The west of this position, there is also some big shocking change. I've talked a lot about this road over here that the Ukrainians needed to access northward from Minokhrad. The Russians want to cut it from my analysis, and we are seeing this currently happening. The Russian forces secured Boykievka in the west, heading towards Suketske. They have essentially captured it, bypassing Zatishok, and they have entered into the mining facility, and they have entered into Oskil-Lyman. In the process, securing Fedorivka and heading in the direction of Rodinsky. So from this position, I did do a battlefield analysis. You may be able to watch it on the DPS main channel. The Russian forces could attack into the rear of this mining facility, into the north of Rodinsky. They can avoid the Ukrainians around here because there are some major fortifications there, and from this position they can cut off the highway. The Russians may not necessarily go through Oskil-Lyman because I think the Ukrainians will be putting up a strong defense in this sector here. I don't think the Ukrainians are in this high-rise, this building, this mountain hilly mining dump. I think they may defend the second dump, not the first one. So the Russians may do quick work in terms of that. So that is the current gist of the situation in this sector. I believe that we may see the cutting of the highway within 2 weeks. Possible. But that depends on the Russians whether they're going to continue pushing. I mean, there is a very high chance, and if they can do it within 1 week, that will also mean the Ukrainians did not defend Rudinsky. They have basically given up entirely. So I would not like to think that the Ukrainians may not want to defend. I always give the adequate respect to the force, but no people may not want to die, you see, if they are very outnumbered. We do not know what's the real combat situation right now between the two sides. There may be a very big chance that the Russians are severely outnumbering the Ukrainian forces. So that is a possibility. There is other frontline changes around Pokrovsk. Russian forces penetrated into Pokrovsk. So before that, there's a push of the Russian forces into Novoukrainka. I map it that they're coming from the south. So this on its own is basically just the Russian forces trying to secure the line like this. So I believe we'll continue to see this operation moving up north as they close down with when the Ukrainians are no longer interested to defend the south due to the developing situation in the north. So like if the north closes up, then the defending of the south doesn't make a lot of sense. So that is the main the main conundrum the Ukrainians are facing. In Pokrovsk itself is a big disaster. Russian forces somehow is in the middle. There is some kind of bombardments on Russian positions in the middle of Pokrovsk. And we have mapping, we have geolocation of Russian forces appearing north of Troyenda on the western districts of Pokrovsk, showing that the Russian forces have quickly overrun Leontovichy and basically entering into Pokrovsk proper. So this advance is significant. The Battle of Pokrovsk, we do not know if it's starting already. Maybe it's already started, because I'm not really want to say that the DRGs are considered like the actual battle for Pokrovsk, but it could be just sabotages. But I don't expect the Battle of Pokrovsk to start now actually. So this is a bit premature. So maybe this geolocation may still just simply be DRGs. There will be recon forces that they're just in to do infiltration and disruptions, and may not necessarily be the actual Battle of Pokrovsk. So I just want to highlight this, that we may not be seeing the actual Battle of Pokrovsk yet. The main reason is because my own estimation is that this road need to cut off first. This flanking operation need to happen first before the battle for Pokrovsk will start. So I don't think it is the time yet. And honestly, they don't have to go into Pokrovsk, and they can just flank the other side, and just cut the other road off and force the Ukrainians to retreat out of the farmlands. So to fight inside of Pokrovsk, unless the Ukrainians give up the positions entirely, it doesn't sound very wise to just go into Pokrovsk. So anyway, these are the frontline changes here. Over in the Udashn, there is some frontline change as well, with the Russian forces taking positions around the south of Udashn. And over in this Oleksiivka, South Pokrovsk direction, Russian forces now starting to consolidate this position around here, around Kharkiv. They have captured Kharkiv in the past week, as well as securing Oleksiivka, Zeleny Kut, and Novoukrainka. All of this position falls to the Russians within a week. This is a big chunk of territory all lost to the Russians. So this is a very, very big change. But strategically it doesn't do much. It doesn't have a lot of strategic significance because this is already a irrelevant front line because of the advances in the Koma front. So it's just a matter of the Russians slowly push up to this line towards Novopavlivka. And so mainly we are just waiting for the Russians to do this and then start the battle at Novopavlivka instead. So so this is just a bit arbitrary by now. Big change, but strategically not super significant. But you can see the battle here is a bit more significant, as they can literally just break into the rear, and this makes the entire defense line here totally irrelevant. So which is why I say this push here is not that significant in that sense. So, and Koma front is one of these crazy front line that have crazy frontline changes. Koma is over here, and the Russian forces have secured quite a number of places in this sector here. this northern sector, the Russian forces captured. They probably should have captured all of this area actually based on the mapping. The Ukrainians are coping very hard in their mapping. So I believe the front line actually looks like this, stretching all the way to Voskresenka. All of these areas most likely is under Russian control. So, and then the Russians enter and capture Malievka, secure Shevchenko, and then capturing Temerivka, securing Zeleny Pole, securing Novosylka, capturing Novopil, securing Novodarivka. So the entire Koma front looks like this. And we will go through go in a little bit in this sector here. So based on the actual our actual mapping, the Ukrainians have quite a number of salients here. So let me draw in a more solid line. Another one is over here. Another one big one is here. And of course, this doesn't make sense. Russian forces captured Zeleny High, which is one of the big developments. So, straightening of the front line here in the west of Pipdotne. And this salient, of course, is impossible. This is an impossible salient. These two also quite impossible, honestly, because the Ukrainian mapping map like this. Like, what is this? This don't make any sense at all. Like if the Russians is only having the highway, the Ukrainians should have just pincer and cut off this and then encircle the Russian forces. The fact that they did not do this, it just means that the Ukrainians are not actually here at all. They are not in these two places. So this front line actually looks most likely is like this. So anyway, that's the Koma front, one of the big frontline changes. Just zooming in, you can see the Russians entering Temerivka, not yet fully captured yet, but high chance is already captured. And securing on Novopil, Zeleny Pole, and expanding of the front line within this sector here. And in Zaporizhzhia, there is only the situation in Kanyamsky. So over the past week, we have the confirmation of the capture of Kanyamsky by the Russian forces, which is funny because within a week, Ukrainian forces counterattacked and re-entered into Kanyamsky, restarting the battle for Kanyamsky. So the Russian forces actually went as far as Stepnohurst, confirmed by geolocation. They have captured the rest of Kanyamsky. So the battle is raging again on the western part of Kanyamsky. So the furthest point, they went to this facility here, this high-rise district in the south of Stepnohurst. But yeah, the situation is a bit in flux, so we do not know what is happening right now, other than the Ukrainians counterattack. And in the Kherson front, the last front line, the Russian forces have taken this bridgehead at the Dniprovsk opposite the river. So the Russian forces geolocated there. So confirmed that the Russians actually have captured at least these parts of this area here. We have no idea what's happening with these buildings or this settlement region here. It may be under Ukrainian control still. I think these dachas, pretty nice because you have the river and then you can fish it. So not bad. So but anyway, so that's about it for the frontline history for the past week. So let me know what you think. It does sound a little bit like a conclusions video. And it may very well be somewhat of a conclusions, but conclusions a bit more speculative, a bit more about my opinions. But this is more like a review of the advances in the past week, and then based on the advances, we can kind of predict what's coming next. So this is the frontline history for the weekly basis. So if I do publish this on YouTube, for those or Rumble, to the public, consider, if you want to watch this on a weekly basis, do consider becoming a Patreon on Patreon. For the Russians, I have Boosty as well. Check out the link below in the description. There is Boosty. But anyway, if I didn't put it out, then this is exclusive. So thank you for your support, the DPA sergeants, officers, and generals. And I'll see you guys in the next update. And happy birthday to you.